Hello and welcome. I'm Rawia Alami and this is the Dailies, where we take a look at important news stories, reports, analyses and articles published in newspapers and media outlets across the world. Newspapers continue to focus on President Trump's revival of trade wars, threatening steep August 1st tariffs on some countries, while many others, including American media outlets, carried on reporting on the aftermath of the Texas flash floods as the death toll rises to over 100 deaths. News of President Trump's decision to resume sending weapons to Ukraine received some attention from newspapers, while many others focused on the Israeli Prime Minister's ongoing visit to Washington as Gaza's ceasefire negotiations continue. We'll start with the New York Times, which published a report detailing the 14 countries that received warnings by President Trump that they will face tariffs of at least 25% on most exports to the U.S. starting August 1st, and that is if they fail to strike new trade deals. Trump has reignited global trade tensions by these warnings that include Japan, South Korea, Thailand and Malaysia. Japan and Korea each accounting for about 4% of U.S. imports. And other nations like Thailand and Bangladesh face even higher rates of 36% and also 35% respectively. If we take a closer look at this chart over here, you can see how much the previously threatened tariffs on each country, starting with Japan, including also South Korea and Thailand, as we spoke, and then the new announced tariffs here in red. And this percentage over here, it is the share of U.S. imports of each country. Now, the report also explains that these threats revive Trump's aggressive reciprocal tariff strategy following a 90-day pause meant to allow negotiations. With only few deals reached, the administration extended the deadline but warned of further increase if countries retaliate. The piece concludes that markets and global partners are bracing for impact. The Wall Street Journal's editorial tackled this latest trade move by President Trump, calling him Tariff Man and sharply criticizing his decision to impose 25% tariffs on imports from Japan and also South Korea. The editorial board argues that just after passing a major budget bill, Trump's tariffs now threaten economic stability and strain relations with key allies. Japan and South Korea supply nearly 9% of U.S. imports, including vital products like cars, electronics, and pharmaceuticals. The article warns these tariffs will hurt American businesses and consumers by raising prices, disrupting supply chains, and reducing competition. It also questions Trump's motives, suggesting his tariff policy is more about political showmanship than economic logic, and cautions that this approach could further destabilize global trade. The Telegraph reported on Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian's explosive claim to Tucker Carlson in an interview that Israel tried to assassinate him during the recent conflict, while also expressing openness to renewed U.S. nuclear talks if trust is restored. The interview offers rare insight into Iran's stance, with Pezeshkian's denying hostility towards Americans and rejecting allegations of plotting against Donald Trump. The report also points out that while Israel's defense minister has previously admitted targeting Iran's supreme leader, this is the first public claim of an attempt on Iran's president. Pezeshkian stressed that Americans shouldn't fear Iran, clarifying that anti-U.S. chants target policies, not people. According to the report, the Iranian president blamed Israeli leaders for regional instability. Moving on to Political, which reported on the U.S. government's decision to remove the terrorist designation from al-Nusra Front, now known as Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, following its leader Ahmad Shara's rise to Syria's presidency after ousting Bashar al-Assad. The report highlights that the move aligns with President Trump's recent order to lift sanctions on Syria, aiming to support the nation's path towards stability and peace. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated the revocation follows HTS's announced dissolution and Syria's commitment to fighting terrorism. HTS, previously linked to Al-Qaeda, now claims independence. Trump praised his meeting with al-Shara, expressing optimism about Syria's future. The report concludes that the decision signals a significant shift in U.S. policy towards post-Assad Syria. Ghassan Sherbel wrote in Al-Sharq Al-Awsat exploring the dynamics of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the U.S., emphasizing the ritual of deference shown to President Trump, portrayed as the guarantor-in-chief of regional stability. The article highlights how Netanyahu credits Trump's support for enabling Israel to reshape the Middle East security landscape, weakening Iran's influence and curbing Hezbollah's reach after the fall of Syria's Assad regime. The piece details shifting alliances with Syria, Lebanon, and even Iran now seeking U.S. guarantees. While Gaza and Lebanon are seen as diminished threats, Iran remains the central challenge. The article concludes that Netanyahu seeks continued White House backing as both allies and adversaries look to Trump for assurances in a volatile region. While the Washington Post reported on Tesla's supporters calling on its board to restrain Musk as he plunges back into politics, it also published an article by Jim Garrity questioning whether Musk's New America Party can challenge the dominance of Democrats and Republicans. Musk, frustrated by Trump's spending policies, claims his party will offer a real third option and plans to focus on a few critical congressional races. However, the article points out that while many Americans say they want a third party, nearly all votes still go to the two main parties. Past third-party efforts have failed to win major races, and Musk's blend of fiscal conservatism and social liberalism appeals to only a small portion of voters. The author concludes that Musk's party faces major obstacles in changing the political landscape. As the death of the Texas flash floods rise to over 100 deaths, The Times published a special report detailing the devastation in maps and also videos. The video shows how the Guadalupe River was rising about 10 meters in an hour, laying waste to large areas of central Texas. The report highlights that central Texas's Guadalupe River Valley is in fact notorious for deadly flash floods, a risk heightened by urban growth and climate change. It goes on to say that despite warnings and also emergency preparations, river activities continued as officials feared overwarning would reduce future compliance. The report also includes a chart showing the dramatic rainfall rise since the 4th of July in this area. And it also shows satellite images of Camp Mystic, which is an all-girls summer camp near Hunt in Texas. Of course, that was among the first sites to be devastated by the sudden Guadalupe River flood. With 750 young campers present, the rising waters struck overnight, leading to the confirmed deaths of 27 campers and counselors. Despite heroic efforts and some dramatic escapes, by Monday, 10 girls and a counselor were still missing as recovery operations continued. The piece criticizes the lack of an early warning system, which left residents and campers vulnerable, calling for urgent improvements in forecasting and evacuation protocols to better protect Texas communities in the future. And we'll end with Le Monde's editorial, which analyzed French President Emmanuel Macron's state visit to the United Kingdom, the first by a French leader since 2008, as a symbolic and strategic milestone in Franco-British relations. The visit is described as a celebration of renewed friendship after the strains of Brexit and also the AUKUS Defence Pact. The article highlights how recent political changes, such as the rise of Labour's Keir Starmer, have enabled a diplomatic thaw, with both nations seeking closer European cooperation. Without reopening Brexit wounds, that is. The piece also highlights that defence collaboration is emphasised with France and the UK as Europe's only nuclear powers and UN Security Council members, positioned to lead on Ukraine and continental security amid US unpredictability. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.